you been hoping to find a good 11-year-old Orthodox Jewish girl fantasy adventure graphic novel?
I was looking everywhere.
I know! So many people are looking for that. Well, I just happen to have such a book here, and it's called Hereville, and it's about a girl named Mirka, an 11-year-old Orthodox Jewish girl who wants to fight monsters. And it's about the magical adventures she has. She meets a witch and a troll, and there's an epic encounter with a grumpy pig, and a lot more knitting than most action-adventure comics have. And it's also about her home life and life in her community.
You were one of the speakers at the Female Heroines yesterday.
There's so many really rich female characters, and maybe that's what we should be saying instead of strong is rich.
How did you come up with Mirka?
Well, Mirka for me, she was a mix of things. But I had previously tried and failed to do a lot of comics, and I decided I wanted to do just a simple action-adventure comic and have a lot of fun with it. And I was thinking about what would be fun. I didn't want to do two 30-ish muscular New York guys punching each other.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's a crowded field.
Is that done? Has that been done before?
Once or twice. So, and I was kind of thinking, okay, as a reader, what would I say? Oh, that's a really cool idea for an action adventure. And about 15 years earlier, I'd read a book about the home lives of Hasidic families. And I thought that would be a great setting for an adventure. It's so interesting. And because I'm Jewish, I really welcome the chance to do that much research into my own heritage.
Absolutely. As for the Grumpy Pig, you collect pigs now. You have a pretty epic studio collection, I believe.
I keep a little herd of plastic pigs about this tall around my studio, and they're good drawing models for me. They stand still much better than real pigs do.
You often refer to Will Eisner as one of your influences. How has he influenced your work thematically and aesthetically?
Well, aesthetically, he's really influenced my work, of course, directly. At one point, he was actually telling me, don't do this, do that.
Yeah.
But also, there's an approach to layout and storytelling that Eisner really pioneered, which is all about, you know, a sort of loose limb body language and letting the eyes of the reader flow seamlessly over the page and doing whatever you need to with the layout to make the layout serve the story, which I wouldn't say I succeed in that, but I try as much as I can to emulate that approach.
Yeah.
So he was wonderful that way. And of course, I wouldn't say he was the first person to do a Jewish character in a comic book.
No.
Because some people would argue that Superman's Jewish. It has a lot of that immigrant story to it where, you know, when he pretends to be an ordinary American and then he's kind of a schmuck, but when he lets the home colors where he came from show, then suddenly he's great. But Eisner, in books like A Contract with God, was the first person to make really explicitly Jewish characters the main characters. And he also was choosing fairly ordinary Jewish people, not doing just superheroes. So there's a lot of important things that he pioneered.
Do you have any dates on Hereville 2 and when we can expect to see that?
You can expect Hereville 2 to be in bookstores and on Amazon in November of 2012. Excellent.
So besides Hereville, you also do a lot of political cartoons. You've got, I think it's Lefty Cartoons is the website. And then you did a male privilege checklist, which went viral on the internet. So when did that kind of come about? You're integrating your politics into comics, and what influenced you to do that?
Honestly, it started when I was a student at Portland State University. I asked them if I could do like a daily strip for them, and they said, we don't do daily strips, we do political cartoons.
Okay.
So I honestly just became a political cartoonist to get published, which is ironic because nowadays no one can get published as a political cartoonist. But I found that I really enjoyed it, and the political cartoons started spreading and appearing more places. Eventually I became the sort of house cartoonist for a left-wing economics magazine called Dollars and Cents.
Dollars and Cents, that's right.
And textbooks and union papers and other places began asking me to reprint the cartoons. So it wouldn't be a full living for me like Hereville is, but it's a really nice sideline, and I really enjoy doing that work.
Well, and there's lots of material to criticize right now.
Unfortunately, yes. I will never run out of material.
Do you have any ideas on what to use? Because there's a lot going on right now. There's going to be the upcoming election in the States, and there's lots of stuff going on in Canada as well. There's the riots in Quebec. Do you have any idea where you want to guide your next strip?
I really try to avoid doing anything that's a story of the week in the newspapers or about a current politician. So what I look for is more like the underlying economic issues. So my next strip will probably be about something like, the wage gap and discrimination, something that unfortunately is going to be going on for many, many years and not just be a passing story.
I find that really interesting, just kind of going down deep to the root of it.
Yeah, that's the idea. I like my cartoons to still be relevant years later.